bison. Our panel is back to reflect on his life and his legacy. John King, what do you remember most?
So I came here at a very interesting time. I started here in the spring of 1997. Ted had sold CNN to AOL Time Warner in late 1996. So the merger was just happening. And Ted was around for a little bit, but he was segueing out. And so my memory is of watching sort of the cowboy cable network, the rebel cowboy cable network become more corporate. In some ways for the better. In my few conversations with Ted, I don't pretend to know Ted well. He sent me a few nice notes. When I broke stories at the White House, he would send a note or pick up the phone and call you, which was very gracious. In my few conversations with him, he would grumble that he often didn't like some of the things that were happening to his company as it became more corporate, because he was someone who would walk into the newsroom in Atlanta in his bathrobe.
I don't think you can do that now.
So culturally very, very different. As a journalist, I covered the first Gulf War for the AP, the Associated Press, and that's when I met Christiane Amanpour. Found out we went to the same college. I didn't know that when she was there. But that, as a journalist, you could see the power of CNN. I was an AP Wire guy, and it was like, whoa, I didn't know these guys were going to have such a global impact, and boom.
The Wire on TV.
Yep.
Revolutionary.
There it is.
Jamie?
I worked for NBC for 32 years, and so that's where I was when that happened, and I was actually sitting in the Pentagon for NBC in the Gulf War, and I will tell you, we were jealous. I mean, watching the war live, we talk about the CNN effect, but it had never happened like that before, that you could watch it in real time, 24 hours a day. One quick story, Bernie Shaw, when he came back from the coverage, President Bush 41 had him come over to the White House because President Bush was really worried about the CNN reporters who were over there. And he said to Bernie, I was really worried about you. And Bernie said, I was really worried about me too. But on a serious note, President Bush 41 told me that watching the war on TV, watching it on CNN, had an impact on decisions he made along the way.
Well, it had a decision on somebody like me. As a kid, I would come home and watch what was happening in the Gulf War. I would see global events in my living room. This was the democratization of media. Right. And we see this long run. CNN is a part of this long run that is the culmination of this is effectively citizen journalism accessing the internet. But CNN was an integral part of this. I got the advantage, and the political education I got was coming home from school. You might be shocked by this, but I came home to watch the 4 p.m. show on CNN about what was happening daily in Washington. And it's a honor to be on the 4 p.m. show.
Right? Hey, I feel the same way, actually, as someone who, came to it. I mean, we're all showing our age, our respective ages.
Asking anyone what grade you were in.
As we tell these stories, but I remember living in Palm Beach County during Hanging Chads, and sorry, John, I know you were well into your career as a working journalist at this point. I was in high school, but coming home and turning on CNN just to see what was happening kind of right around the corner from me. I want to play, just because they're kind of my favorite things. Some of my favorite things to do is on TV is to play some of this history, and CNN does have it, and it's been touched on here. Let's watch a little bit of Bernie Shaw covering the Gulf War, just because John just gave voice to him, and again, Ted, the person who put together the network, put Bernie Shaw on the air at a time, frankly, when in many ways that was groundbreaking all by itself. Watch.
This is something is happening outside. Peter Arnett joined me here. Let's describe to our viewers what we're seeing. The skies over Baghdad have been illuminated. We're seeing bright flashes going off all over the sky.
So that's 1991. And then fast forward a few years, here was Ted Turner reflecting with Larry King, who of course is an icon, again, because of Ted Turner, about CNN's success. Watch.
What about it has surprised you the most?
Well, there have been a lot of surprises, but I would just say that it worked out as well as it did. A lot of times.
Did you envision this growth?
Well, I didn't have any upper limits to how far we could go, so I thought it would be a big success, but I guess I couldn't have figured it would have been this big a success.
Well, and of course we are still here today, and as we close our reflections, this is from Ted's Ted's memoir. He wrote it in 2008, and he said this, quote, "I've often considered and joked about what I might want written on my tombstone. At one point, when I felt like I couldn't get out of the way of the press, 'You can't interview me here' was a leading candidate. In the middle of my career, I considered 'Here lies Ted Turner. He never owned a broadcast network.' These days, I'm leaning toward 'I have nothing more to say.'" We remember him fondly. We'll be right back.